Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 6, entitled Brahma Satisfies Lord Shiva. So we are requested to read from 35 to 39. So 3 verses we're going to recite. 3 verses, 39, 38, 37, 36, and 35. So we will read from here and look at the purpose of explaining of Shiva. So text 35 says, Vidya tapo yoga stapam, Vidya tapo yoga papam, Astitam tam adishwaram, Sarantam vishwa suhridam, Vasalyaya loka mangalam, Vasalya loka mangalam. Translation and purport by Divine Grace Bhakti Dhira Damodara Swami. A demigod soul of Shiva situated in his perfection as the master of the senses, knowledge, fruitive activities, and the path of achieving perfection. He was a friend of the entire world, and by virtue of his full perfection, full affection for everyone, he was very auspicious. Vatsalya Loka Mangalam. This is when Daksha had offended Lord Shiva at his ceremony, and Lord Shiva, being a greatest devotee, one who has no any difficulty with anybody, Lord Shiva had no difficulty with anybody. He left the assembly of exalted devotees and returned back to his abode, Kailash. Kailash is the residence of one of his favorite devotee, Kubera, because of his affection for his devotee. As Lord Shiva is very affectionate to his devotee. That's the nature of devotee. Devotees are very, very kind. People in general, particularly for those who are rendering them satisfactory service. So Lord Shiva returned to his abode, the Kailash, and was peacefully engaged in his meditation, and as it is described here. So for Daksha to complete that yajna, which was disturbed because of the pains they had committed to Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma has to take all the demigods to come and beg for Shiva to kindly forgive Daksha. Of course, Lord Shiva didn't take offense. So there wouldn't be anything for him to forgive. But it's a custom, as custom demands. And Lord Brahma, being the grandfather, he knows the principle, knows the etiquette. So he took all the demigods with him to come and tell Lord Shiva for forgiveness. So they came to Kailash and they met him here. The demigod soul of Shiva situated in his perfection, as the master of the senses. Papa will explain knowledge, fruitive activities, and the path of achieving perfection. He was the friend of the entire world, and by virtue of his full affection for everyone, he was very auspicious. So Prabhupada explained in the purport. Lord Shiva is full of wisdom and capacity. One who knows the mode of work is understood to be situated on the path of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of God. One cannot serve the Supreme Personality of God unless one has achieved full professional knowledge in the ways and means of performing the worship. So this is science. The science. One who does not know the science of bhakti cannot satisfy. Neither can they have a perfect life. So Lord Shiva is, the condition. So, and we know he is not Jiva, not even condition. So not Jiva. But at the same time, he's not full Vishnu, but he's a glance of Vishnu. The glance of Vishnu is Vishnu, but because he has connection with Durga, material energy, he's not fully Vishnu. Vishnu has no connection with material energy, Durga. This is the Shiva position. So it's exalted. So the question of if one should, is it correct for devotee to worship of Shiva? It's not good. But Shiva should be fully respected, and we should offer him all honor. And if you worship Shiva to get Krishna's mercy, it is perfect and correct. Because it's a best devotee, Vaishnava. Therefore, there's nothing wrong with worshiping the Vaishnava. It's perfect. We worship Vaishnava to get Krishna. But many people don't worship Shiva as Vaishnava. They worship him as a demigod so they can get material things. That is wrong. So, but Shiva will give one Krishna because he has Krishna. He's the best friend of Krishna. But people don't know him as that. They know him as a demigod who fulfills material desires. But Shiva also fulfills spiritual desires. And for that, we show many of our acharyas, they have full respect for Shiva. Many of our acharyas, the Bhakti Dhira Damodara offered in prayers written for Gopishwara Mahadev when he visited Lingaraj temple in Bhubaneswar on June 22nd, 1922. Vrindavani Pasti Jaya Soma Soma Mole Sanandana Sanatana Nara Eya Gopishwara Vraja Vilasi Yugangri Padme Prema Prayacha Nirupadi Namo Namaste. The Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. We offer this prayer. O Shiva, O gatekeeper of Vrindavan, O you who are accompanied by Uma, Parvati, O you who carry the moon on your head, O Lord, worshipped by Sananda Kumara, Sanat Kumar, and Narada Muni. O Gopishwara, the worshipful deity of the Gopis, desiring that you bestow upon me love for the divine couple, Sri Radha and Madhava, who perform joyous passions in brides. I offer my obeisances unto you again and again. Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura's Sri Sankalpa Kalpatum, cited in volume 7 of Sri Krishna Amrita. And Sri Bhakti Dhira Damodara also offered the prayer for Lord Shiva in Mayapur. And it is written on the yoke pit. It is written on the wall yoke pit. Now they have plastered it, so you don't see it. But fortunately, we copied the prayer and I have distributed too much of it. So you have it. That one was composed by the Bhakti Dhira Damodara. We know the history of the yoke pit. Bhakti Dhira Damodara is connected to, he discovered the place and established that place to worship. So he composed that prayer in worshiping of Shiva, begging begging the Lord Shiva, who is a protector of dam, Dikpala, is a protector of dam. Lord Shiva should protect our hand, which is the abode, the dam, for Lord Krishna to see. So we are praying. He offered the prayer, and which we should do. Pray to Lord Shiva to protect our heart from unnecessary things so that it will remain pure. For Lord Krishna to peacefully sit there and guide us. Yeah, so in the Yog pit, Tetrapala Shiva, the protector of the dam, is eternally worshipped. He is also known as Sri Gopishwara, and he bestows service to the dam. Pure devotees who perform worship in accordance with the followers of Sri Rupa Nugas, honor Tetrapala Shiva as Goswami, the Gopishwara Shiva, and pray to him for eternal service to Sri Gaura Sundara, that is devoid of material activity. Sri Gaura is a Rasaraj, embodiment of Rasaraj Mahabhav, a combined form of Mahabhav, Radha, and Krishna. So this is Bhakti Dhira Damodara. So we pray for Lord Shiva to help us with Krishna plan. He does that. He has the power to do it because he's the best friend of Krishna and very, very dear. A very dear Lord Krishna and Lord Shiva, they're very, very close with each other. In fact, any service which is meant for Vishnu, see, all the personalities have different services. There are services meant for Vishnu or Vishnu incarnations. And it's service meant for different demigods, service meant for different spiritual masters. Different personalities, they have different services. The Lord Vishnu service that Lord Vishnu does not want to do, the only person he gives to is Lord Shiva. Because he's the only next person to him. And he is one who can do that because he has the qualification. So Lord Shiva is described here as Adishwara. Ishwara means controller. And Adishwara means particularly controller of the senses. So Lord Shiva controls the senses. He's not controlled by the senses. He is the controller of the senses. Adishwara. So when we say the controller, the controller of the senses, means that Shiva has full control. And the senses does not control him, but he controls the senses. He is the master. Just like Lord Shiva is the master of ignorance. He's in charge of ignorance, but he's not under ignorance. He is a master. He controls ignorance. Generally, our materially contaminated senses are apt to engage in sense gratificatory activities. But when a person is elevated by wisdom and austerity, the senses then become purified, and they become engaged in the service of the Supreme Pursuit of God. Lord Shiva is the emblem of such perfection. And therefore, in the scriptures it is said, Vaishnava Jata Sambhu. Lord Shiva is a Vaishnava. Lord Shiva, by his actions within this material world, teaches all conditions to how to engage in devotional service 24 hours a day. Therefore, he is described here as Loka Mangala, good fortune personified for all conditions. This is Lord Shiva's position. Loka Mangala. Lord Shiva is full affection for the conditions, for all souls. All souls. He's full of affection for all souls. And he's just the dearest friend of all living entities. You're like Krishna. Because he's responsible. So he can do that. Yes. Text 36. He was seated on a deer skin and was practicing all forms of austerity. Because his body was made with ashes, he looked like an evening cloud. On his head was the sign of half moon, the half moon. On his head was a sign of a half moon, a symbolic representation. So Papa explained. Lord Shiva's symptoms of austerity are not exactly those of the Vaishnava. Lord Shiva is certainly Lord Shiva is certainly the number one Vaishnava. But he exhibits a future for a particular class of men who cannot follow the Vaishnava principles. This is Lord Shiva's costless mercy. As we explained it, he associates with the low class beings out of his compassion. Therefore, Krishna put him in charge of ignorance. So he can be able to associate with low class people. And by his association, relieve us of our negative tendencies, nefarious activities, sinful nature, and the suffering which we experience through these sinful activities, and gradually give us opportunity to become a better person and take the personal consciousness. This is Lord Shiva's nature. Therefore, he associates with low class people, common people, out of his costless mercy. If a prophet is saying that the method of austerity he performed is not exactly like those of Vaishnavas. It is for low class people. The Servites, the devotees of Lord Shiva, generally dress like Lord Shiva. And sometimes they indulge in smoking and taking intoxicants. Such practices are never accepted by the followers of Vaishnava rituals. It shouldn't be done like this, because Lord Shiva is Ishvara, as you were speaking. He does not depend on the intoxicant. He doesn't need that. Because as he can take intoxicant, he can also take poison. But none of the followers can dare attempt to take poison. So what the followers do is imitation. That is a problem with conditioned souls. The pure devotees, they always try to put themselves in a situation to encourage yourself and gradually take shelter of them and come up to the higher standard. But the problem is that in Kali Yuga, we conditioned souls does not take to the higher side. We will always take to the lower side. So instead of seeing that Lord Shiva is an Ishvara, he has come down to our level, so he can help us. But we shouldn't do that. We should simply follow, but not imitate it. But we imitate and forget the most important thing that Shiva is doing for us. We forget it. See, imitation is very dangerous. The following is auspicious and is the recommended process by all the scriptures. To follow the footsteps of Acharya is recommended in all the scriptures. Lord Shiva drinks not just poison, an ocean of poison, not just poison. You take a drop of it. It's an ocean. Not just a ocean. Lord Shiva he compressed the ocean. The ocean was expanding to cover the whole universe. Lord Shiva had the power to bring it all to his palm full and drank everything. Who can do that except Lord Shiva? So people don't do that, but they take ganja because they say, "Oh, my master takes ganja." But your master does not take only ganja; he also takes poison. That he cannot do because of Jesus. But still, Lord Shiva is very, very kind. He has come for the interest of fallen souls. If we tolerate, because that is his nature, very, very kind, very merciful. So just like here, they have low class people have offended the Shiva. He left it there, although Brahma has brought all the demigods to come and beg him for forgiveness. And the soul of Shiva, seated on a straw mattress and speaking to all present, including the great saint Anna. to whom he specifically spoke about the absolute truth. It means that Lord Shiva was speaking differently to different people according to their level. Lord Shiva speaks differently. For Narada Muni, he speaks transcendental knowledge. That is the topic we'll discuss. For other people, he will speak according to their level. This is a nature of those who are very expert, those who are very experienced. So, Prabhupada explains. The Lord was sitting on a mattress of straw because such a sitting place is accepted by persons who are practicing austerities to gain understanding of the absolute truth. In this verse, it is specifically mentioned that he was speaking to a great sage, Narada, a celebrated devotee. Narada was asking of Shiva about devotional service. And Shiva, being the topmost Vaishnava, was instructing him. In other words, Shiva and Narada were discussing the knowledge of the Veda. But it is to be understood that the subject matter was devotional service. Because that is what they are. When business people meet, they will discuss business. When lawyers meet, they will discuss law. When doctors meet, they will discuss medicine. Similarly, when devotees meet, they will talk about Krishna. When demigods meet, they will talk about yesterday, they were worshiping the demigod they worship. This is natural. So when a great devotee of Shiva and another great devotee, Narada Muni, meet, they won't talk about business because that is not in nature. They won't talk about the politics or something. That is not in nature. They will talk about Krishna, devotional service, pure devotional service. They will discuss the scriptures. That is natural. And it is clearly mentioned here. He spoke differently, specifically, he spoke about the absolute truth. Narada was asking Lord Shiva about devotional service. And Shiva, being the topmost Vaishnava, was instructing him. In other words, Lord Shiva and Narada were discussing the knowledge of the Veda. But it is to be understood that the subject matter was devotional service. Another point in this connection is that Lord Shiva is a supreme instructor, and the great sage Narada is a supreme audience. Therefore, the supreme subject matter of Vedic knowledge is bhakti, or devotional service. When the student is bona fide and the teacher is bona fide, everything is auspicious. Everything. The environment is auspicious. The subject matter is auspicious. Those who speak and those who hear the scriptures, they will be auspicious. They are all auspicious. They will create auspiciousness. So, Baba concluded, therefore, the supreme subject matter of Vedic knowledge is bhakti, or devotional service. They cannot discuss with others because they are made of bhakti, and their duty is to spread Krishna consciousness, devotional service all over the world, all over the planet, all over the universes. That is our responsibility. So when they meet, they is asking questions and Shiva is speaking, enlightenment. That is the process. 38. His left leg was placed on his right thigh, and his left hand was placed on his left thigh. In his right hand, he held Rudraksha beads. This sitting posture is called Virasana. He sat in the Virasana posture, and his finger was in the mode of argument. In the mode of argument. It means in the mode of discussion. The Muni is asking questions, so he will be speaking. He will be speaking. This sitting posture described herein is called Virasana, according to the system of Asanga Yoga performances. In the performance of yoga, there are 8 divisions, such as yama and niyama. Controlling, following the rules and regulations, then practicing the sitting postures, etc. Besides virasana, there are other sitting postures, such as padmasana and siddhasana. Practice of these asanas without elevating oneself to the position of realizing the super soul Vishnu is not the professional stage of yoga. You want simply practice just for the show, or we practice without the purpose of pleasing of Krishna. In other words, if one does not do anything for Krishna, but we are simply engaged in doing something for sense application, it is considered illusion, and it is very dangerous. Very dangerous. The purpose of practicing anything at all is to realize Krishna. So anything which we are doing or we do which is not for realizing Krishna is useless. It's a waste of time. Besides virasana, there are other sitting postures such as padmasana and siddhasana. Practice of this asana without elevating oneself to the position of realizing the super soul, Vishnu, is not the personal state of yoga. So Shiva is called Yogeshwara, the master of all yogis, and Krishna is also called Yogeshwara. So Lord Shiva is Yogeshwara. So Krishna is Yogeshwara. Before, Krishna is addressed the same way. So Krishna is addressed this word used for Krishna and used for the Shiva, Adishwara. Adishwara, and here also is Yogeshwara. These are terms meant for Krishna, and we see here that they are used for Lord Shiva. The devotee asked me, how is it that Lord Shiva is also addressed as Adishwara and Yogeshwara? So I told him that not only Lord Shiva, the Muni is also addressed as Bhagwan in Bhagavatam. Prahlad Maharaj is also addressed as Bhagwan in Bhagavatam. So Krishna gave his title to his devotees. That does not change Krishna's position. Nor does he equate those devotees with Krishna. It is not. Here the matter was sometimes, and people give their name to their son. Jonathan Jr. Right? Jonathan Jr. He's a son, he's calling that. So Jonathan Sr. is a father, and Jonathan Jr. is a son. So that does not change the position of the father or the son. It does not equate them on the same level. It's not. It's an appreciation, it's a kindness. It's the act of love. Like Krishna gives his position, gives his name for his disciples, for his representative. So appreciating what they are doing for him. So here we see Lord Shiva is Adishwara and also Yogeshwara. He does not diminish Krishna's position. We also saw Lord Krishna served his devotee, but Krishna worshiped Lord Shiva in appreciation for a wonderful service Lord Shiva rendered to Krishna. In the form of Lord Machanda, Krishna had promised Lord Shiva that I will worship you for this wonderful service you have done for me. and in the form of Lord Ramchandra, he fulfilled that desire. He worshipped Lord Shiva. That is appreciation the Krishna showed for his devotee, special devotees who perform special service that satisfy him. So, but that does not change the Shiva's position. It doesn't change the Supreme Lord's position. They didn't feel that now the Lord has worshipped me, therefore I am now the Supreme Personality of God. They never think like that. They never feel like that. They continue with their position. A Krishna worships the horses of Arjuna for 18 days and drove Arjuna's chariot. That doesn't stop him from, from being the supreme position. His position never gets diminished. Never. Krishna does this for his devotees. Krishna offers obeisances to Yudhishthira Maharaj. His position never gets diminished. Yudhishthira Maharaj never think that, oh, okay, now I'm the supreme God. See, Krishna offers obeisance to Yudhishthira Maharaj. He offers obeisance to himself. Lord Vamandev offers obeisances to Kashyapa Muni, his father. He's a supreme personality of God. He does that. Vamandev, the condition of Krishna. He offers obeisances to his own son. Now he's acting as the son. So he offers obeisances. But that does not change his position. Here also we're going to see that although Lord Shiva is greater than Lord Brahma, but when Lord Brahma came with all these demigods, Lord Shiva stood up to offer him obeisance. That's a respect. Oh, my father has come. Lord Shiva offers obeisances. That is how the true devotees have to teach us. Lord Shiva is called Yogeshwar, the master of all yogis. And Krishna is also called Yogeshwar. Yogeshwara indicates that no one can surpass the yoga practice of Shiva. And Yogeshwara indicates that no one can surpass the yogic position of Krishna. Therefore, another significant word is Tarka Mudra. This indicates that the fingers are open and the second finger is raised. Along with the arm to impress the audience with some subject matter. This is actually a symbolic representation. That's a symbolic representation. And then the last verse for today. All the sages and demigods headed by Indra offered the respectful obeisance to Lord Shiva with folded hands. Lord Shiva was dressed in saffron garments and absorbed in trance, thus appearing to be like the famous of all sages. In this verse, the word Brahmananda is significant. Brahmananda or Brahma Nibbana is explained by Prahlad Maharaj. When one is completely absorbed in the adoption, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is beyond the sense perception of naturalistic persons, one is situated in Brahmananda. So we have two types of Brahmanandas. One who is an impersonalist, seeking for merging into Brahman. He is situated in Brahman. But here, the word Brahmananda is also used here. This Brahmananda here means from Brahman, the Supreme Brahman. So we should carefully understand this so that we don't mistake adoption for ordinary person. It is impossible to conceive of the existence, name, form, quality, and presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he is transcendentally situated beyond the conception of materialistic persons. because materialists cannot imagine or conceive of the supreme personality of Godhead. They may think that God is there, but factually He is always existing in His Satnana and Vigraha. His eternal form, constant in meditation, concentrated in the form of the Lord, is called Samadhi, ecstasy, or trance. Samadhi means particularly concentrated attention. The one who has achieved the qualification of always meditating on the personality of God is to be understood to be always in trance and enjoying Brahma and the power. Or Brahmananda. For Shiva exhibited those symptoms, and therefore it is stated that he was absorbed in Brahmananda. But Shiva is absorbed in Krishna, pure Krishna consciousness. Param Brahma. Another significant word is yoga action. Yoga action is a sitting posture in which the left thigh is fixed upon one's tightly knotted saffron colored garment. Also, the words Manunam Arjam are significant here because they mean a philosopher or one who is thoughtful and can think very nicely. Such a man is called Manu. So Shiva is described in this verse as the chief of all thinkers. For Shiva, of course, does not engage in useless mental speculation, but as stated in the previous verse, he is always thoughtful regarding how to deliver the demons from their fallen condition. It is said that during the advent of Lord Chaitanya, Sadashiva appeared as Advaita Acharya, and Advaita Prabhu's chief concern was to elevate the fallen conditioned souls, the platform of devotion service to Lord Krishna. Since people were engaged in useless occupations, which will continue their mature existence, Lord Shiva, in the form of Lord Advaita, appealed to the Supreme Lord to appear as Lord Chaitanya to deliver this solution souls. Actually, Lord Chaitanya appeared on the request of Lord Shiva. Similarly, Lord Shiva has a Sampradaya, a Rudra Sampradaya. He's always thinking about the deliverance of the fallen souls, as exhibited by the Lord, as exhibited by Lord Advaita Acharya. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. There's one question here.
Yes, go ahead.
Maharaj, we see that Lord Shiva is being considered the topmost Vaishnava. And
Yes.
We see in the pastime of Lord Haridas Thakur, he is also considered as one of the topmost devotee of Lord Krishna. So how we can visualize these two personalities, how we can appreciate who is greater among those two?
Yes, Haridas is a great devotee. Lord Shiva is a great devotee. Dhanamoni, great devotees. The Prabhupada, great devotees. Sri Goswami, great devotees. There are so many other great devotees. All of them are great devotees. They have their particular function, and all of them, they all contribute to our success in Krishna consciousness. They have different. Haridas is for broadcasting the glories of the holy name and make the name meaningful for us to take shelter. So he has his duty. Lord Shiva has his duty. Yes. All of them, they have their respective duties. And all their duties culminate in making us devotees of Krishna. So they take it from different angles. Like here we mentioned Advaita Acharya. Out of his cosplay mercy, he called the Chitan Mahaprabhu to come. So all great devotees, all wonderful. They are all very important for us. All right?
Yes, thank you, Gumaraj. Gumaraj, we see that Lord Shiva, he was in meditation. He was meditating on his Rudraksha being. So there's a personality on whom he meditates, Gumaraj.
Well, Shiva has his Sankashan and he meditates. See the snake on his leg?
Yes.
That is Sankashan. That is Shankashan. Shiva has Sankashan, he meditates upon. That snake is Sankashan, not just ordinary snake.
Yes.
So Krishna gave him that to meditate upon. So whatever he does is not affected because he has the deities meditating upon. Associating with the hobgoblins and varieties of evil spirit and good spirit, he's not affected. He's fully protected.
And once you mentioned about the tilak of Lord Shiva, its significance. If you could talk about it again, Gumaraj.
What?
About the tilak of Lord Shiva. On his forehead. Yes, on his forehead. It is different from Vaishnava.
Yes. This is horizontal tilak is demonic. It's demonic tilak. Not the Vaishnava tilak. Vaishnava tilak is auspicious, divine. But his tilak is horizontal, it's demonic. It is said that anyone who sees the face of a person wearing this mask will get himself, as I said, purified. That's demonic. But Lord Shiva wears it. Not because he wanted, but because Krishna ordered him to do it. So Krishna ordered him to do it as a service for the purpose. I mentioned before that the service or Lord Vishnu that he doesn't want to do, he will give it to Lord Shiva to do. Just like he drank the poison. That is Lord Vishnu's service. And also to kill the demons who were meditating upon Vishnu. They are demons. Demons generally don't worship Lord Vishnu. Well, they worship Shiva and other personality, Brahma, so you can get dangerous power to disturb people. They know that Krishna will not give them, so they don't worship Lord Krishna. But there are some demons who worship Lord Krishna. And Lord Vishnu was present in their heart. So they were disturbing. A demigod approached Lord Vishnu and begged for solution, to help them for the solution. So Lord Vishnu came to ask Lord Shiva to do that. For him to do that, he should disguise himself, preach a dark doctrine in the mode of ignorance. And they put this demonic horizontal mark tilak. And they dress on this deer skin with the skull of gallant. And the ashes, it's mentioned that he looked like evening cloud. Because of the ashes on his body, he looked like evening cloud. So all these decorations are told by Lord Vishnu to him Vishnu and Lord Shiva. So he could do his service perfectly. So he did that. Along with that, Krishna also asked him he gave him this snake, this Sankashan, for purification. So anyone who sees this mark is contaminated. And anyone who wears it is also contaminated. But Lord Shiva wears it, he's not contaminated. Because he did it under the order of the Supreme Personality for a particular service. So one who acts under the order of the master does not get implicated. Even if the master is wrong, the servant will not pay because it's ordered to do it. The master will pay. So the Shiva was asked to do this. So he has not sinned. Because it is coming from the Supreme.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
I've been missing
Nice
you
to,
since.
yeah, Maharaj, how are you? Nice to see
Very
you.
good.
Sorry, I missed your last class. Actually, I didn't know the timing, so I'm sorry for that. Apologize.
We are sorry that we didn't give you
Yeah.
communication.
Maharaj, my question is, the one is, we hear that Lord Shiva is in charge of ignorance.
Yes.
And how a Vaishnava, a great Vaishnava, is in charge of ignorance?
Why not?
No, he should transfer into
sure.
the goodness. He should transfer from ignorance to goodness. That's what I see.
Then who will take care of ignorance? And then how will we benefit? How will we? Not everybody is in goodness. So if everybody go for goodness, you're going to take care of the creation and the destruction, which will help us in our material existence. Somebody has to be there to do the service. So Lord Shiva is doing a very great job. I mentioned before that he's in charge of ignorance, but he is not ignorant. That's the service he's doing. And it's very, very important service he's doing. But Vishnu didn't do that. Lord Brahma didn't do that. Only Shiva does that because he has the power to do it. A Vaishnava can do any service for Krishna, provided Krishna wanted. The Vaishnava can do any service for Krishna. Any service for Krishna, the Vaishnava can do, provided Krishna wanted. The devotee can do it. Lord Vishnu is in charge of the material world, and he has designed it in this way to help everybody. Either we consider it good or bad, it doesn't matter. But Krishna has a plan, perfect plan for our own good. So he has designed the material world in three modes of nature. And he put all the great personalities. He appointed the personality to be there. Not that everybody jumped there on their own. No, I want this post. No. Krishna appointed them to be there. So if nobody is there to take care of ignorance, how do you think we are going to get elevation to passion to goodness? How? So somebody has to be there. And who is going to be there? It cannot be a conditioned soul. It's a conditioned soul. He's already in the ignorance. So he cannot help any person in ignorance. Only a person who is above that can help us. And it's a special service, it's a special position given to someone who is very special. So Shiva is very, very kind. Therefore, he can do that. He can tolerate us. Otherwise, he just burn everybody in a second, just burn everybody off. To hell with all of you. He's very, very kind.
Yeah.
It is his kindness that he has accepted this service. That will help us. Yes.
Yeah, Maharaj, one more question. Maharaj, again, the same related question is basically that Lord Shiva is also take care of those who don't get the body, like the ghost and all that, spirits and all that. So how and when this ghost and the spirit get the body?
Okay, well, Lord Shiva, every day, like 6 o'clock anywhere in the world. 6 o'clock in India, 6 o'clock in East Africa, and West Africa, in Europe, America, in India, everywhere. Everywhere. At 6 o'clock in the evening, twilight, Lord Shiva passes with his associates. All those entities follow him. So if Lord Shiva sees someone having sex at that time, he will send one of these things and body soul inside. That is how they get their body, their physical body. Like die will die. That's how they get the body. Lord Shiva is very kind, he does that. Because they are looking for body. And people who are taking alcohol and numb their body with all kinds of intoxicants, Lord Shiva also will send the soul to their body, so they become possessed. That's why they get the body to at least to function. The same with illicit sex. These are different ways Lord Shiva arranged to get them a body. Through illicit sex, through alcohol, varieties of intoxicants. So Lord Shiva does that. So this day you see people right from the beginning, little children, they are now talking about illicit sex and they are preparing to do it, they are doing it. They have no common respect, not a single respect for the others. They don't behave like human beings right from the beginning. That is clear indication that these are Lord Shiva's associates, taking birth as punishment for those who cannot control the senses, and they are creating unhealthy environment for everybody by bringing these kinds of entities. That's how they get the body.
Yeah.
So Vaishnavas will keep the regulative principle, no illicit sex. Any illicit sex will attract Lord Shiva's attention. Kashyapa Muni told his wife, "See, you have forced me to unite with you in the wrong time. Even though Lord Shiva is related with you, but he is not a partial person. He will punish whoever does something wrong, he will punish the person, whoever you are. So what we have done now, Lord Shiva has sent 2 demons in their womb. That is not of illicit sex. We are bringing unnecessary entities to our planet. It is true illicit sex. Intoxication. Can you imagine some places, the wife take alcohol, the wife smokes, the husband smokes, he take alcohol. So under that influence, they're having sex. What kind of soul will come to that family? The Goswamis? To be Lord Shiva's associate. Look the whole planet, look the whole world, see what is happening. So when Prabhupada said no illicit sex, why no illicit sex? Some rascals, why? Should be done, okay? Do it at the expense of coronavirus disturbing the whole planet. That's the result, that's the consequences of our sinful activities. We will bring demons who are going to torment us. Instead of devotees controlling, the demons are controlling the world. How did they come here? Illicit sex. And then they make it difficult for you to preach, even their Christian consciousness. It's difficult to preach because they are creating havoc every moment. When people's mind is seriously disturbed, how will people listen to God consciousness? Where is intelligence, the peace for people to look at but for God? All right?
Yeah, thank you, Maharaj. Thank you very much.
Okay.
And thank you, Maharaj. Thank you very much.
Good question. Any questions, or we close here?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Sri Gurudev.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Maharaj, as you mentioned that we should worship Lord Shiva. By doing this, we will get the mercy of the Lord, and Lord Krishna will be very, very pleased. But in Mauritius, we see that devotees have some reservation and hesitation also to worship Lord Shiva in front of non-devotees. In my case, one day, I went for Sankirtan and proposed one person to take one book from me, but he refused. He stated to me that, no, I will not take any book from you because the Hare Krishna people does not worship Lord Shiva. So Guru Maharaj, my question is, how we should approach these people to preach Krishna consciousness to them, at the same time, not to hide their devotion to Lord Shiva and make them favorable.
We worship Lord Shiva. We worship Lord Shiva. We respect him. They don't worship Lord Shiva. They don't worship because worship is not that they put Shiva on the throne and the temple, then you do all the usual puja, no respect, no devotion. It's just a business. That is not worship. The real worship is done by devotees. We don't have Lord Shiva in the altar to worship it like they do, but our affection for Lord Shiva, our respect for Lord Shiva as the best Vaishnava is paramount in our hearts. So we are the best worshippers for Lord Shiva. We don't abuse him. We don't blaspheme him because we know his position. It's our Lord. We have full respect for him. So we worship Lord Krishna. We worship Lord Krishna. Lord Shiva is included. Aradhanam Sarvesham Vishnu Aradhanam Param Tasman Paratara Devi Tadyanam Samarachanam. This is said by Lord Shiva himself. Of all the worshiping Lord Vishnu is the best. And of Vishnu worship, the worship of the devotee is the best. That is said by Lord Shiva himself. So we tell them we worship Lord Shiva, we have full respect for him. And Lord Shiva is very, very happy with us. He's very, very happy. Lord Shiva likes Vaishnavas, seriously. All right?
Thank you, Gurudev.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, Maharaj, Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you very much. Maharaj, this Sankashan, in the form of these snakes that you are talking about, do we still have some on this earth? Because I quite remember there is an incident that took place in Shishirada Govinda temple, whereby a snake visited them and they take it, and they don't know, so they kill that snake. And eventually it brought some kind of problem to the temple. And it took one senior devotee that came to the temple to realize that we did something like that, so that is bringing the problem to the temple. So I would like to know, those snakes in the form of Sankashan, are they existing on this earth also?
Yes. Yes, everywhere.
Oh, okay.
Yes. They are not limited.
So Maharaj, how can we differentiate? How can we differentiate between the greedy ones and the auspicious ones?
Mhm. If you treat all of them, the moment you see a snake and you remember Sankashan, the moment you see a snake, you remember Sankashan. That is bona fide suspicious. So you are free. Any moment you see a snake, oh, see a snake, no, Sankashan, Jai, Sankashan. This is Sankashan. That's with the consciousness. Then you not be afraid. Then we will not act seriously. Yes, the consciousness, the Sankasana will respond. That is how we should behave.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay.
Hare
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Maharaj,
Hare Krishna.
I think we no longer have questions, Guru Maharaj.
All right.
So
Thank you very much.
thank you again, Guru Maharaj.
Wish all of you a happy Shivaratri.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. And we
Krishna.
also wish you the same.
Thank you.
Bhakti Dhira Damodara Maharaj ki jai.
Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Mahadev Gopishwara ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Krishna Guru Maharaj.